All right, I actually did everything right this time. Awesome. So, and now that I know how to like keep my bunny ears on, like I'm not gonna have to adjust my bunny hood. Uh-oh. Wait, hang on. Okay. All right, good. All right. Whew. I was like, all right, there's a delay right now, and it still shows that I'm hosting somebody else. Okay. Um. So we'll wait. We'll just wait a moment for people to come in because Twitch likes to alert people 5 hours after your stream has happened and you're deciding to end. It's like, hey, by the way, this person's gone live.
Isn't
Uh,
that great?
yeah. So I have a friend. Have you had a chance to meet Barry yet? Barry Mays.
No, I don't think so.
So Barry is somebody I've known outside of Twitch for a very long time, and he is a big Dead by Daylight fan as well. Um, and I just saw the other day watching him play. I saw I'm trying to remember. I think Heather was her name. Silent Hill 3. Um,
Yeah.
the Heather skin. So I saw that, and apparently he said that Pyramid Head is like a character in the game now, um, or one of the killers or whatever. So I don't know. I've never played the game before, but if they're running with that, I appreciate the host, buddy. I appreciate it. If
Yeah, of
if
course.
they're um, if they're running with that, I might have to check it out. A lot of people told me to check out Dead by Daylight. So
I am obsessed with Dead by Daylight. Like, as much as I am like obsessed with Overwatch, like I don't know what it is about Dead by Daylight. Maybe the rounds are just a lot shorter and just the killer versus survivor, but like I'm a huge horror fan too. So I think that has a lot to do with it. And just seeing a lot of these killers from movies that I grew up with, like and like it's such a good game.
now, how do they? Do you know anything? And I mean, I hate to spring this pop quiz on you, but how does that work in terms of? Because I kind of been curious about it. How do they get all these different licensed characters in the game? I guess there's some type of deal that they have behind the scenes, but they have a ton of licensed characters on one platform, so to speak, or one game, I should say.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is. They get the licenses for these, and there's a lot of fans that have given feedback like, "Oh, Jeepers Creepers would be cool," or somebody else as far like it maybe, and it takes a long, long time, and I think at some point people are just getting disappointed that there weren't any updates, and then this anniversary event just popped out of nowhere, and like I love the new map. I love um, the new killer and the new skins for the survivors. It's just, and then they also have the mobile game, which I mean, I think it's pretty good. Like if
Really?
I'm going somewhere and I'm obsessed with Dead by Daylight, like I don't mind playing it. Like I'm not at my computer, so why not?
I'm gonna have like all the interviews, of course, are awesome, but I'm finally getting to talk to somebody that's a big horror video game fan. So this is awesome for me. Um, so you mentioned Jeepers Creepers, by the way. Okay, so here's the thing. I'm not like the movies aren't necessarily the greatest, but the actual like the creeper itself is such a good like monster villain, and they it's one of those things where it harkens back to like the old monster like what was it uh like the old Frankenstein's monster for people that want to be technically correct, but that harkens back to like those abominations, I guess, that are just like invincible and all that stuff. Like I don't know. I always liked Jeepers Creepers. I thought it was a cool concept. Unfortunately, I don't know that they're going to be able to continue because I don't think the third one was that successful. But it it definitely, if anybody's not had a chance to check it out, Justin Long is in it, and I'm trying to remember who else is in it. Um, I can't remember who else is in it. Justin Long was like the early 2000s like comedy it boy. It was kind of funny.
Oh,
Um,
he's so good in that movie too. He's like he made that movie what it is.
the last thing I saw him in, it was actually it's funny because it was a horror comedy. Was that movie Kevin Smith did, Tusk? That was the last thing I
Hmm.
saw Justin Long in. That's a weird movie if anybody's seen it. But okay, so we got some people coming in. Uh, so as always, sorry we had like the kind of the pre-show chat, but this is something where I'm going to try my best not to go on tangents, but I love talking about like horror films and stuff. So, Sashi, you're gonna have to keep me on track. Sorry,
Well,
no,
I
no, no,
don't know
no,
because
no, no.
I
No, it's okay. I'm joking.
I was about to bring up Doctor Sleep because I don't know if you've seen that,
Oh yeah,
but
yeah,
it's
yeah.
the sequel to The Shining, and I actually thought it was pretty good. You know, they try to modernize it a little bit, and they brought back, some scenes from the old movie, and I actually really enjoyed it. I watched it twice last week. So.
I no, I really, really liked it too. And the one, God, I'm so bad with names, but the one actress who played Rose, she was from,
The Greatest Showman.
yes, yes, yes. And so like, yeah, but that film, I absolutely loved it. And by the way, for future directors, writers out there, and I know Stephen King did the sequel and stuff like that, and I think he had a hand in the script as well. But that is how you, spoiler alert, that's how you hand it off from one main character to another. There's so many shows now that don't know how to do that. And movies, I should say as well. Like they don't know, and even video games. Um, but yeah, so hey, this is the podcast. So um, I appreciate you stopping by, buddy. If you're heading to bed, the VOD will be up for as long as Twitch allows it to be up. So be sure if you guys can't stay the entire time to come back and check out the rest of the VOD because, yeah, these are always awesome opportunities to get to interview people. And more importantly than that, you get to learn a lot of stuff. People are very, very, very fascinating stories that they have to tell. I always say that there's a story as long as you're willing to listen. So definitely come back and check out the VOD if you get a chance, Sohaim. But you have a good night, buddy. And yeah, I gave you VIP last time. I think you were lurking in chat, or you might have headed out already. But anyways, yeah. So as always, I don't want to get too distracted. I'm going to get distracted. It's just a natural occurrence. But at any rate, as always, I let the guest. I've said her name several times, but I always let the guests take a moment to introduce themselves. So Sashi, I'm going to give it to you for a few moments, and yeah, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Sasha. I'm Sashi underscore me on Discord and also on Twitch. And I am an Overwatch and Dead by Daylight streamer. So I typically recently do charity streams because I mean I have a lot going on, but I also if anything's going to get me back into streaming, it's going to be giving back to any charity. So that's what I've been really focusing on, and yeah,
Oh,
I have three dogs that take up a lot of my time as well. One is Luna. If you guys have ever been to my stream, you see her, and she's the cutest doggy in the world, and I love her.
and if you've also had a chance to go to Saucy's stream, you will also see it's almost one of those like um, Where's Waldo, where you got the Keyblade in the background, and you've got all sorts of things that you can kind of recognize. It's really really awesome. And I would also say that for those of you that are in the Discord, um, and yeah, Luna Luna's the best. Yeah, no, hey, what? Good job, Nightbot. You got this, buddy. Do you like super cute pet pics? Yeah, yeah. Nightbot's on top of it. So if you go to the Discord, Sashi's also posted pictures in there and has pictures across other Discords as well, including her own. So definitely be sure to check out all those because yeah, Luna is absolute or is an absolute cutie. So as are the other dogs as well. Um, but and real quick, what are the other dogs' names again? Because I remember Luna specifically, but
Yeah, so I named Luna actually after Luna Lovegood from Harry
oh
Potter.
okay,
I named I meant Axel after the Kingdom Hearts slash Final Fantasy character,
okay,
and then I have Loki after Thor's brother from the
okay.
Avengers. So
No, that's awesome. Um, I'm happy to hear an Axel reference. he doesn't get a lot of love. By the way, Axel, I'm trying to remember what the for those of you who don't know, the voice actor that did Axel from Kingdom Hearts is also the voice actor for Raiden from Metal Gear Solid, and because I'm old, he was also the voice actor for Johnny Quest for the New Adventures of Johnny Quest. It came out in
Yeah,
like
Quentin Joseph Flynn.
yep, yeah, that came out in like the early was that early 90s, mid 90s. Um, and he was also the voice actor for I don't know if he is for the remake because I haven't seen it, but for the one of the Final Fantasy movies, Final Fantasy VII Advent Children, he was the voice actor for Rufus. So one of the Turks from the Shinra Corp. So yeah, definitely. I don't know. It's always cool to see how people continue and evolve and stuff like that. Because I remember growing up as a kid that it blew my mind that one of the voice actors for Donatello from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon was also the voice actor for um, Solid Snake's mentor in the Metal Gear Solid franchise. It was kind of I don't know that always blew my mind for some reason. Um, but yeah, so let's take a moment because you're one of the few people that I've had on that has focused a lot. I mean, different people have done charity streams, don't get me wrong, but you focus a lot on charity streams. And what kind of led you to explore, focus on that avenue?
What really made me get into it is I'm a shy person, and
Hmm.
I mean, I've been through a lot in my life, and I mean, I'm really blessed to have parents that they're super inclusive. They, they belong, they believe in everything that should be right and should be happening for in this country, but everywhere. So, with that, the beliefs I've grown up on, and then also just, that's the only reason I want to stream now is just to give back to, society and give back to good causes. And, you know, tomorrow I'm going to be doing a pride stream. And then my next stream, I'm going to be doing maybe a SPCA stream, or maybe, if maybe I can get a poll going. Anybody that thinks there's a better pets charity give back to, I would definitely like to hear people's opinions.
Now, one of the things that because I've been interested in doing charity stream myself, but could you kind of explain not just not even just for chat. I mean, it's one of the things where I was about ready to message you and other people too. How do you go about doing a charity stream? Like, because I know some people go through, was it Tilify? I believe it is. Um, oh, sorry,
Yeah,
I didn't mean to interrupt.
no, you're fine. I did use Telefy, and I mean, I'm not really good at setting up overlays or anything,
Hmm.
but I use Soft Giving, and it's just a lot easier to join like charity groups. It's a lot easier to set up your overlays, and they already have their pre-built in charities that you can add to your stream. So
Okay.
it's just I love Soft Giving, and that's what I use for my Black Lives Matter charity stream as well.
Soft Giving. Is it just how it's spelled? Soft Giving Incorporated? Is that it?
Softgiving.com.
Softgiving.com. Okay. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Okay, softgiving.com. There we go. Okay, I think this is it. Is this? I'm gonna put a link in chat. Is this it? Hope this is the right link. Nobody click on this just yet in case. Is that it?
Yes,
Okay.
that's exactly it.
Okay. Um, and so this is another, the way that you're explaining it, this is another program to which people can connect through, or connect their Twitch through.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the good thing about it is, I mean, you don't have to do anything with the profit. The profit goes straight to the charity 30 days after they receive it.
Oh, okay. All right. Awesome. Yeah, because that's one of the main concerns that I've had and why I've been trying to be very cautious. Not that I've ever heard anything bad about Tilify, but I want to be very cautious because you find out certain charities and charity apps and charity fundraisers and stuff, if you're not, cautious, you'll find out that they take like 80% of the earnings or something, and then 20% of it goes to what the actual cause was. Because I have seen that happen, unfortunately. Um, so that's good to have a different avenue. Um, and you were talking about about your parents, and I think that your parents having a great connection with them is fantastic. I always talk about Mommy on, and some people I grew up with would be embarrassed to have a connection. I guess at this point with their parents for some reason. I don't know why. I never understood that, but I love Mommy on to death. And so, you know, growing up, because I've come to find out that a lot of people, their parents were very big into video games, and it's what influenced them. Were your parents big into video games at all, or?
So that's a funny story
Okay, no,
because I would have
uh-oh,
to play like NES and Sega. And then I would go over to my grandmother's house because my parents were divorced. So I would
okay.
go over there sometimes to visit that part of my family. And she also had gaming systems. So I would play video games, whenever I went to my friend's house and there. And I just became addicted. And I think I was like 6 years old, 7 years old. And then my half brother, he got me into games like WCW and
Yes.
so
Was that the one where like somehow like it's pro wrestling, but they're shooting fireballs at each other? Like
I
somehow.
think it was I think it was NWO
Oh, okay.
versus yeah, at WCW versus NWO
Because you're a pro
going
wrestling
for it.
fan too, correct?
Yes,
Oh,
I wanted to be a pro wrestler like
really?
all throughout high school, yeah. And unfortunately, I didn't do it, but I really wish I would.
No, that would have been, dude. Chat. We were this close to knowing a pro wrestler. That would have been fantastic. Um, yeah. So okay. So I have several questions. I'll stop myself from asking them all at once, of course. So, um, what was the game that you kind of grew up with that really got you hooked to playing video games?
Ooh, wow. Honestly, this might be cliche, but Pac-Man like has always been the top game for me until I ran into Kingdom Hearts. But Pac-Man, like my mom, once she came around, she got me into Pac-Man, and she told me that was her favorite, and we started playing together, and it was great.
Dude, you know what? I don't think that's cliche at all. I remember going with my parents to the old, not the modern, but the old Pizza Huts, and they would have the little tables with the Pac-Man and the multiple games built into them. And you know, part of the reason I was probably underweight as a kid is because I didn't want to eat half the time because I was like trying to high score Pac-Man and Donkey Kong and Super Mario and all that stuff. I tell this story, but when I first went the very first time I went to an arcade, I didn't know that you actually had to have quarters or tokens to play the games. I didn't know that, and I went to the first arcade I went to was a place called Aladdin's Castle. This was way back when, and I still have some tokens from 'em. I'll have to get those out sometime and show you all. But I remember my stepbrother. I didn't know for the longest time. My stepbrother eventually told me that he's like, you have to have tokens to be able to play these. And my parents were like, you have broken. We could have kept this going for at least another 3 years. They were they were not happy with him that day. But no, I completely remember Pac-Man. Actually, it's funny that you mentioned that because one of my favorite games, let's see if you remember this, was the Pac-Man Adventures for like the Super Nintendo. It was like the side-scrolling one where like Pac-Man did like it's almost like a point and click. It had nothing to do with like the old Pac-Man and the old formula of running around and trying to avoid the ghost and all that stuff. Now this was just like Pac-Man on an adventure to like I don't even remember he might have been going to the
Yeah,
bakery
was
or
it
something.
Pac-Man World? And he had his house, and then he would go to like different worlds, or part of the map.
let me look that up real quick.
Because I loved that game, and it probably like if I played it again, I don't know if it would be that great, but for some reason, like he was so cute, like his little 3D form.
No, it was Pac-Man, the New Adventures. That's what it was. Um, here, real quick. What is this? I don't know who this is.
Yes, I do remember this
Okay.
game. Oh my god.
For those of you, I'm gonna link this real quick. For those of you who don't know
Wow.
what I'm talking about,
That dog was a bully.
I tell you what, I always wonder why I was a cat person growing up, and I think it was directly attributable to the dog from Duck Hunt. Um, because I'm pretty sure that that dog bullied the crap out of me as a kid. Um, hey, Death, what's going on, buddy? Uh, but since I asked you, it's only fair that I mention mine. The game that got me started into playing video games was Double Dragons. That was the game that got me started. Um, I remember my cousin. It was his birthday party. They were playing that, and they were playing the classic Tecmo Bowl. Um, and I remember just being in absolute amazement. I think the controller was actually bigger than me. But I remember just being absolutely amazed that they were playing these games. Um, but okay, so since I kind of broken that down a little bit, so what got you? Was it your brother that got you into pro wrestling? Because I'm really fascinated by this because I always love to talk pro wrestling with people.
Yeah, it was him because I was pretty young. I was probably around the same age, six or seven,
Okay,
and I was just like, oh, this is so fun. Like I would hang out with him and his friend. They would play this game, and they're like, do you know anything about pro wrestling? Because you know how big brothers can be. Like
right.
I was like, no, and a couple like season or episodes of WCW and Raw, and I was just like, wow, this is amazing. I don't know. I was hooked ever since. Like I was a huge Jeff Jarrett fan. I was a huge rock fan. I still am a huge rock fan. Ministry of Darkness
Oh
was
my.
like DX. I don't know. I was so obsessed with wrestling back then.
The fact that the fact that you mentioned Jeff Jarrett, that is you are a gem, my friend, because not only do a lot of people not necessarily know who Jeff Jarrett was, which by the way, for those of you who don't know, brief history lesson, his father, um, oh God, now I'm forgetting what his father's name was, but he was one of the biggest promoters of all time, next to the McMahons, and the McMahons eventually just kind of bought out everybody. But yeah, Jeff Jarrett's father was huge into the business, and Jeff Jarrett is a really good wrestler. Helped to start TNA wrestling and all sorts of other stuff. Um, it's funny that you mentioned that, so I have to ask you, of course, who is your favorite wrestler back in the Monday Night Wars?
Oh man,
I think I know, but I'm asking anyways.
Stone Cold Steve
There we
Austin.
go. Yep. Which I mean, that is, some people might say, or worry that that's a cliche pick, but I tell you what, he is bar none the biggest star in the history of the business. Even more so than Hulk Hogan, I would say. Um, Stone
He
Cold,
really is.
you
And
know.
I feel like, sorry about that.
Oh no, go ahead.
I feel like even The Rock has said, I don't think I would have been where I am and where I've gone if it weren't for Stone Cold Steve Austin.
No, and that's the thing. The Rock has since Dwayne Johnson has since become. But by the way, how do you get better looking like every single year that you get older? Rock, can you kind of like email me and tell me what your secret is? Because like I don't understand it. But anyways, um, he uh he well, first of all, two things. One, what's crazy is if you actually go back and watch those, Sashi, The Rock was like 23 when he started in there. Uh, and that just blows my mind that him and Austin weren't even really in their 30s when the Monday Night Wars were going. And of course, you had the classic hanger on Hunter Hearst Helmsley, who, kudos to you, buddy. You wouldn't be where you were if you didn't insert yourself into every match because you were. Just, anyways, I'm bitter. Um, I mean, Hunter Hearst Helmsley wasn't. I mean, Paul Levesque, aka Triple H, aka Hunter Hearst Helmsley, he wasn't a bad wrestler, but let's be honest here. He was definitely the third wheel in the Austin Rock relationship. And
Yeah.
but yeah, no, Dwayne Johnson, the Dwayne Johnson versus or The Rock, Rocky Maivia versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. Probably the greatest rivalry in the business. The only things I can think of that might compare would be like Dusty
Vince
Rhodes,
McMahon.
Vince McMahon versus Stone Cold, or Dusty Rhodes versus Ric Flair, stuff like that. You know, I mean, Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant, which was kind of short lived, but just because of Andre's health problems, it kind of peaked at that point, and he could no longer continue to do it. But which, by the way, actually, real quick side note: if you all have not seen the Andre the Giant documentary, please do yourself a favor and go watch it. The one that was on ESPN, it is phenomenal, and Andre was absolutely, larger than life. No pun intended. He really, really was, and just an absolute Superman of a human being.
Gotta
And
watch The Princess Bride.
Princess Bride, one of my favorite movies of all time. Absolutely one of my favorite movies of all time. And he was actually that was also when he was starting to have like that crippling back pain and stuff like that. And he still kind of managed to like smile through it. But there's a lot of scenes in that, Sashi, if you go back and watch it, where he's like sitting down or he's standing, but his back's like against a wall and stuff like that. And that's because he could barely stand. Um,
Oh no.
so at that point, you did death. I remember because it's posted in Discord somewhere. I remember it.
Yeah, he did. I remember that.
And hi Richard, how's it going, buddy? Um, but yeah, so I absolutely love talking wrestling. So here's my favorite. I mean, I love Stone Cold. I love The Rock, but honestly, two of my favorites growing up, especially in that era, were and I think part of it was because I adored his costumes and his mask and stuff like that. Number one was because I was watching both WCW and Raw too. Rey Mysterio Jr. Absolutely loved the Luchadors, and Rey Mysterio goes on to be probably one of the greatest Luchadors in history. And then the other one was I absolutely loved um, D'Lo Brown. And
Oh yeah.
see, and you know what?
He's so underrated. So underrated.
Oh yeah, and it's unfortunate because D'Lo, a lot of what the reason D'Lo didn't get a push, if for those of you who do watch wrestling or who know a lot about wrestling, grew up with it, Draws, who was a guy that he was kind of like a punk rocker. I think he was part of the Headbangers, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
He had an accident in the ring. D'Lo Brown was in a match with D'Lo Brown. He went up for a power bomb, and when D'Lo went to drop him, as they do, it is coordinated, um, moves. But when he did, Draws panicked or something, and he grabbed D'Lo's shirt or his bulletproof vest that he wore, whatever that was. He grabbed that prop, and he didn't. Instead of falling on his shoulders or his back, which is what they're supposed to do, he fell right on his neck, and and he's been paralyzed from the neck down ever since. And that's part of the reason that D'Lo I think didn't get a push is because of that accident, which is completely unfair to D'Lo. But that's pro wrestling, and unfortunately too, that's part of Vince McMahon. That's part of the stigma is that if you're prone to injury or if you get somebody else injured, you can be in the uh, you can be on the back burner for a very long time, and it's just not fair because D'Lo was an amazing talent. But what's so funny is, so you had The Rock versus Austin, and then you had the Nation of Domination versus DX. Essentially, those were the two rivalries. If you actually look back on it, all of those people, like Mark Henry went on to be a world champion, Rock went on to be a world champion. Triple H went on to be a world champion. And then Farouk was a world champion. And then Farouk went on to be tag team champion with oh God, what was his name? Bradshaw. Um,
Yeah, when they were part of Ministry. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
Ministry. That's it.
yeah. And it's just I don't know. It's interesting that it almost is in a way. I know we know it's coordinated. We know it's predetermined. I always hate to say fake because it's not fake. I mean, I've been
It's real to me, damn
yeah, it's real
it.
to me. um, but there is no faking, especially if you all go back and watch something like the Hell in a Cell, Mankind versus Undertaker. There is no learning how to fall off a 25-foot steel cage. Um, and Sashi, by the way, I actually don't know if I ever got to tell you this. I actually got to meet friends and I went to Bloomington, Indiana, when he did his when Mick Foley did his comedy tour. For those of you who don't know, he was actually from Bloomington, Indiana, and he yeah he we got to see him do his comedy tour there. Dude is hilarious. He's actually one of the funniest people I've ever met, and him doing an impression of Jim Cornette, if you all know who that is I'm not going to do it because I can't get my voice that high, but it is one of the best things of all time. Um, so yeah, just him doing different voices and impressions and stuff like that. He is an absolute gem. Great writer too. Sorry, I'm going on a tangent about wrestling. Okay, gotta bring it back. Streaming.
I mean, I'm having a good time talking about
Oh,
wrestling, but
oh, okay, then we'll continue. Um, so with with wrestling and stuff like that, do you watch any of the current stuff?
I haven't. But I did meet a few people from NXT that it seems like they're now huge stars, like
Oh, really? Okay.
Sasha Banks, Bailey, Adam Scherr, who's the current WWE champion, and it's just crazy to see like how far they've gotten, especially since, I mean,
Adam,
I'm not really
I'm trying to think who's that.
his character is. I only know him by that name because he was a power lifter before, but it's Braun Strowman.
Oh, okay, okay, Braun,
Yeah,
awesome. I haven't watched it
yeah.
recently. That's why I was asking you. Yeah, I know
But
who's.
yeah, he's from here in North Carolina too. So
Oh, awesome. Yeah, of course I know who Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks, even though she was world champion numerous times, still, in my opinion, vastly underrated. Um, I don't dislike Charlotte Flair, but my personal opinion is Charlotte Flair was pushed a little bit too much. Um, and and the other, I mean, of course, Becky Lynch eventually got her big push, but um, I don't know if she still is, but like, yeah, Sasha, I would have liked to see, and Bailey just got, almost criminally underrepresented in terms of she just kind of went to the wayside for the longest time, and
yeah,
I still remember one of the greatest matches of all time. Do yourselves a favor and check it out if you can find it. The Iron Woman match between Bailey and Sasha Banks. One of the best matches of all time that I've seen, especially on NXT and anything like that. Um, but I'm happy to hear that Braun finally got a big break. Pun intended, I guess, because he's like six
yeah.
eight. But
He's huge. Oh my god, he's so tall.
um, oh,
But no, Sasha Banks and Bailey are actually tag team partners now.
oh, are they? Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Out of the current generation, I'd have to say, which I heard Kevin Lee got a big push. Um, and I was always a big Kevin Lee fan. Um, but he uh, I hope that the one I want to see do really, really well because I grew up kind of watching Lucha Underground uh, as well was is Ricochet um, because I'm a huge Ricochet fan. Um, so I don't know if he's still with the company. I don't know what his status currently is, but I know Vince liked him, and unfortunately, both fortunately and fortunately, if Vince likes you, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much a done deal. And if he doesn't like you,
yeah.
it's pretty much a done deal. unfortunately. But yeah, I think yeah, Ricochet is was one of my big favorites, and then of course Finn Balor. Um, Finn, eat a carb once in a while. It won't just one. Holy crap. Um, let's see. Oh, I watch MMA. Yeah, I watch MMA all the time too, Death. You know, I'm always excited for what's going on in MMA. It's just one of those things where I'll be honest, it is a little heartbreaking because when you don't have these massive crowds, it does, you know, it's not supposed to kill the mood. It's supposed to be about the fights, but it does kind of kill the mood a little bit sometimes because you just want that huge rush from the crowd when somebody gets staggered or somebody gets tripped or something like that. Um, but so with the current stuff, Sashi, have you seen any AEW?
No, I haven't.
You haven't? I would
Mm-mm.
definitely recommend watching that, especially if you can find anything with the Lucha Bros. I'll send it to you. Don't worry, you're gonna get like 20 YouTube videos if I can find them. Like the Lucha Bros versus the Young Bucks, who by the way are like mid 30s now, guys. Come on, like I know it's a name, but like at this point, like you know, a middle-aged Bucks is not gonna work. I get it, but like, can we just go with like the Bucks or something like that? I don't know. There might be a copyright on that, but like at this point, like they started when they were like 18, so I get it. Um, but you know, the phenomenal, phenomenal. Of course, Chris Jericho is like one of their big guys right now. Um, and then they got um, oh God, who was it from the Shield? Now I can't remember his name. Dean Ambrose. The guy that played with John Moxley. Dean Ambrose is now with them. So, which by the way, Vince, you really screwed up on Dean Ambrose. You really did. Dude can talk so good on the mic. You should have absolutely let him talk. With that being said, I do like Seth Rollins, so you didn't screw that one up.
I love Seth Rollins.
Oh yeah, Seth Rollins, and you know what? Here's the bad thing about Roman Reigns. For those of you who don't know, Roman Reigns suffers from John Cena syndrome, where they keep pushing him to be a babyface. And if you go back and watch some of the Florida wrestling stuff, Florida Championship Wrestling, dude is a great heel, really really good heel. But they push him to be a babyface, I guess, because of the merch. Um, and for
Yeah,
the
I loved him a lot more when he was a heel.
yeah, and for the love of God, you know, take like okay, this is gonna sound weird. I get this. Like, sorry, Sashi. Like the dude's like tatted out and in shape, right? But you've got him wearing like 50, you know, pounds of riot gear in the middle of the ring. It just looks weird, right? Sashi, help me out here. I don't want to sound awkward. Like it
No, you're right.
does it not like because he did in Florida Championship Wrestling he didn't wear that right? He just wore the tights if I
Yeah, and
remember
he's
correct.
got the long wet hair. He just looks like a straight BA, you know? So,
Yeah, yeah. Just you know, let him go back to that. You know, um, but I think part of that is because you know, as I just said, he's covered in tattoos, and I remember Randy Orton got chewed the f out for that because baby faces aren't supposed to have tattoos or something. So when he got his sleeves done, I don't know, I don't know. Hey, Twisted, what's going on, buddy? Love you too, buddy. All right, so we're gonna get back on track. I got distracted. I'm so sorry. Normally, I try to be a little bit more formal than this, but I'm like, I'm wrestling. I don't get to talk about wrestling that much. So you know, going back to things, what you know, kind of. So we talked a little bit about you know your brother getting you into wrestling, playing video games, you know, whenever you could. Was there ever a path where you kind of took a break from things, or was it always like once you got hooked to video games, once you got into wrestling, like you just kept going with it?
there's definitely a break in between, especially, I mean, all these new gen consoles are expensive, so it took me a while to just be like, you know what, whatever. Like, you only live once, and this is what I love doing, so I'm just gonna buy whatever I want to play. And so now I am a PC in and 2 to 3 consoles.
Okay, what consoles do you have?
So I have the Switch, I have the Xbox One, and I have the PS4. And I got the PC specifically to PC game because I've always wanted to do it. And I wanted to stream and I wanted to try it out because I mean, I knew it was going to help me like boost my confidence and meet new people that love playing games, and especially with everything going on with the coronavirus, like helps me stay focused on something instead of going crazy being inside the house.
No, I completely 100% agree. I think that, you know, there is a lot of negativity on the internet, but I do think one of the wonderful things that should never be overlooked is the fact that it has allowed us to be more interconnected than ever. And, you can now not just network, you can actually make and connect with people and form, real friendships that you might not have otherwise been able to. Well, I should say might not otherwise, because let's be realistic here. We wouldn't have been able to. The vast majority of us would not have been able to connect, 30, 40, 50 years ago because it just, I mean, how often do you have the opportunity to meet people from North Carolina, Missouri? I know a lot of people are out in California. We have a lot of people from Canada, Europe, Saudi Arabia. We all can kind of have this big, awesome family, but you don't have that. I think a lot of us do take that for granted. So that yes, there is absolutely negativity on the internet. Don't get me wrong. I'd be naive to think otherwise. But definitely take the positives, and I think that that's one of them. So you talked about building your confidence. Do you feel that streaming did have a positive effect on your confidence?
Um, it definitely did. Just the amount of people that I've been able to meet and connect with, like you and Logic and Death, and so many other people, K Dash, like these are friendships I'm gonna have for a long time, no matter like if I'm going through something and I'm not streaming, like I've built those friendships where if something is going on, then I'll have people to reach out to and they'll reach out to me and I'll help them with their problems. But at the same time, I know that it's something that has always been an inner demon and something that I need to work on fixing outside of streaming. So, I mean, there's positives and negatives to it, but I think for the most part, streaming step outside of those boundaries.
Yeah, and this is one of those things where I want everybody to know there's no like class for streaming, right? There's plenty of YouTube tutorials on how to start your stream, and there's some that have these, and I don't mean to mock them, but they have these superficial mechanic like, hey, make sure to talk every 10 seconds, and don't let there be any hour-long lapse of entertainment. And don't. But the reality is that every single stream and every single situation, every single person is completely inherently different. It's all on an individual basis. So there is no formula. And I think that's one of the things that makes it such a blessing and so unique. When you hit that go live button for the first time, I do have to ask though, because I always ask this question to everybody. What were your first thoughts going through your mind?
I was so nervous, and I still like super nervous as soon as I hit that go live. Maybe not as much as I did like the first time because now I know people are actually coming in, and I'm like, oh, don't mess this up, and like you gotta talk to people, and I don't want to look like I can't play a game or I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to that. So it's like those inner demons still but I mean, it really took me a while, maybe 2 or 3 months to really figure out like just be yourself, and the people that actually matter, the people that are actually interested in you as a person, they're going to show up and they're going to help you build that confidence, and they're just there to be your friend. So I mean, there's plenty of trolls on Twitch, but I
Hmm.
feel like the people that actually show up to my stream, that makes me feel comfortable doing it.
And one of the things that I would implore people to focus on is that the people who want to be around you, the people that love you, trolls are gonna, yes, it's, and sometimes trolls say very hurtful, painful things. That's what they're intending to try to do. They're trolls. But they're going to be there for 3 seconds, right? Whether they get banned or they lose interest or whatever, they're going to be there for 3 seconds. Sometimes, if they're very persistent, maybe a couple of minutes, maybe half a stream. But the people that are there to support you, that actually care about you, they're going to be there for so much longer. So if you're stressed about having to deal with trolls or people that are going to bring negativity, know that they are a very small portion, a blip, if you will, on the radar. Okay, that's all they are. They are a grain of sand in an entire ocean. So don't let something like that dissuade you if you do have any interest in streaming. Don't let something like that dissuade you from, hitting that go live button because the experience of it has been life changing for me. It sounds like it's been life changing for you, and it's been for most of the people I know, even if it's just making, some really strong interpersonal connections with people. It's been a life changing event. So now that you've kind of gotten, used to it, um, now what do you focus on as far as after you've hit the go live button? What are your objectives with each stream, if you will? And I don't necessarily mean that from a mechanical kind of static, perspective, but is it more about just purely having fun? Is it more about improving as a gamer? What kind of drives you now every time that you're streaming?
I think what drives me, first, um, since this is what I've been doing a lot more recently, is trying to hit a charity goal. Also connecting with people, just being able to make new friends, and then also just you know being able to say, "Hey, I did this. Like I did it again, and I'll keep doing it." Like it's such a huge goal for me, just to you know, for some reason, and hopefully I'll get over it at some point. But just being able to say, "Wow, I just streamed for 5 hours," like it just makes me feel so much better about myself.
No, I think that is. I think that that's something that if you're talking about getting over it in terms of, um, I guess not congratulating yourself. I would encourage you to always congratulate yourself because streaming is not. It's physically and mentally very demanding. I didn't understand until I started doing it. And if you can sit there and like I think I'm still recovering after 2 weeks ago of doing a stream for 12 hours, you know, don't let these bunny ears fool you, people. I'm like they're drooping over to the side, right? It's just the mic that's propping them up. Um, and yeah, so I definitely would say that any amount of time that you stream is an accomplishment. Getting there every day is an accomplishment. Don't ever sit there and think that it's all about being a 24-hour streamer or always seeing growth with every single stream. The main thing I would say to you and I would say to the people in chat and everybody is, and this is kind of what has been my mental, mainstay has been that as long as you are seeing some level of familiarity in terms of, familiar faces, you have kind of the game that that you can run through, um, and you care about the community and stuff like that. I think that growth is always going to be one of those things that is not assured, but at the end of the day, I think what will be assured is your happiness after you've ended stream. Because if you get a chance to hang out with people, make friends, make new friends, right? Especially, or I should say, get to see friends and then make new friends. I always think that that's an awesome experience. I would tell you all, and there's another plug for Sashi's stream in the chat. I would tell you all as well. One of the things that I like about Sashi's stream is that when she was doing the charity events, um, she was very, very communicative in what was going on in terms of why charities were so important to her. And, she said if you guys want to come and ask questions and stuff like that. And I think that's awesome because a lot of people, and I, listen, if you were doing a charity stream, you know, God bless you, you're a wonderful person. But there's a lot of people that will put up a charity stream in the background. And one of the things that I really love that Sasha was doing is she was trying to connect with people through the charity, using the charity as something that was near and dear to her heart, but also as a talking point for people that might want to come in and ask questions. Um, with going forward, I would ask that again, if it's not for every single charity, I completely understand. But I think that that was an awesome part, and I definitely want to commend you on that because that was something unique that I noticed that not everybody does.
Yeah, no, and I really do like enjoy it, and I mean every single time I try to stream, that's what I want to be my main focus. And I mean, every charity that I also put in front of me, I just want people to know that it means something to me. It should mean, because I think giving back to the community is extremely important, and those are some of the values that I hold dear to my heart. So
Well, and I can attest that, from what we've talked, the values that you hold are very similar ones that I hold, and I think that, please don't change those because you are an absolutely amazing person, and I think that those values are, especially in this day and age, I think they're integral to any positive growth on a platform like Twitch. I think that those values are vital to it. Um, so that's awesome that you feel that way. With that being said, we go into this serious conversation, and now I got to ask you about the horror games because I've been wanting to ask you about that for like the last 40 minutes. Um, and so, what brought you into horror games or
oh
movies as well?
my, movies. So which one do you want to start with first? Because I feel like
Let's
there's
go
so
with
much
movies because
talking about both.
let's go with movies.
Um, so recently, I would say that my favorite horror movies are probably Insidious
Okay.
for one, and then second, there's so many that I love. I would say The Conjuring is probably up there with my favorite ones recently. There are a lot of like indie horror games I like. And I'm not sure if you guys have seen the one on Netflix um, with the creepy ass clown.
Oh, that's like
um,
the True Horror Stories one. Or oh no, you're talking about oh, what are you talking about? Oh God, I know what you're talking about now. He's
Terrifier.
Terrifier. Yes. Yeah. He's in like the almost like the mime makeup, like the black and white makeup.
Yeah, and I mean I know it's more of like a thrasher, but this acting that he had without saying a single word in that entire movie, that is probably like one of my top five favorite horror movies ever. He
So
was just so perfect for that role.
I have to say this because I saw behind the scenes. Apparently, he's like the most mild mannered, shy, like this sweet individual. The actresses were talking about,
Imagine.
yeah. Um, and yeah, so yeah, no, Terrifier is really good. Isn't it funny that uh, so you mentioned Insidious and you also mentioned The Conjuring. Isn't it funny that Patrick Wilson's in both those?
I mean, he's pretty amazing.
No, he is. He is.
I love him. He was so good as Ed Warren.
But I just think it's so funny that he's in both of the, arguably like last 10 years, the two biggest horror franchises.
Yeah.
As a main character, it's not like he's a side character in them. Although I guess Insidious kind of goes off a little bit without him. The lady who's also one of the main characters in Insidious, the psychic that comes to their home first. I can't remember her name. That actress is phenomenal. She's also in like the remake of The Grudge, which I don't know why they remade The Grudge, but
Oh, I haven't seen it. The
don't.
remake. Don't.
No, don't. I want to sit here and be like positive and be like, no, no, it's not worth seeing. Like the original Grudge was so much better. Um, and yeah, so I as far as horror movies and stuff, yeah, I absolutely love them. So I have to ask, have you seen uh was it uh Hill House or whatever it is? The
Yes.
Okay. That
Woo.
I now I'm blanking on what the actual title of the show is. Hang on. The
The
Haunting
Haunting of
Of
Hill
Hill House.
House.
Yeah, that is a really good show. If anybody has not had a chance to see it, really, really, really good show. And genuinely scary for a TV show. Sashi, I have to make a. I do have one recommendation I want to tell you about though. Um, if you have Amazon Prime, and I know it sounds like a pitch for a Prime sub, but if you have Amazon Prime, the Shutter Network, SHUDDER, um, it's connected through Amazon Prime. I think it's like $3.99 a month. It's like an entire horror movie TV show network, and they have all sorts of original stuff as well. It is 110%. I would pay like $15 a month for it. It is so good. They have a bunch of like stuff like Friday the 13th movies, Exorcist, all that. So they have a bunch of classic stuff, but they also have their original stuff. And their original stuff, I'd say like 70% of it's really good. Don't watch the stuff like Jake Paul and all that, but like, or you know, But anyways, I digress. But it is really good. It's absolutely worth checking out if you get a chance. Um, and actually, Amazon Prime has a lot of good. I don't like to sound like I'm doing an advertisement for 'em, but I was really shocked that they actually had a lot of good horror movies, especially the ones here recently that I absolutely loved was Midsummer and Hereditary. I really really like those two, both by the same director. But are there any horror movies coming out that you're looking forward to?
Um, I was gonna say, since you brought up The Haunting of Hill House, I'm really looking forward to The Haunting of Bly Manor. That's the sequel.
Okay.
Just because I was a huge American Horror Story fan, and that's kind of like what they're doing with the Haunting series, is keeping the same actors and actresses for all the different seasons that they're starting. So I really, really, really loved that show, and I watched it all weekend. Like I think I got 4 hours of sleep the entire time I was just binge watching it. So I'm really excited for the other series to come out.
Since we're talking about this, one of my favorite directors of all time is Guillermo del Toro. And for those of you who don't know, Pan's Labyrinth, the first two Hellboy movies, Pacific Rim. He was also a producer on The Orphanage. He also did Kronos. Um, I'm trying to think of all the stuff that he's done. Shape of Water. Uh, just a
Hellboy.
Yeah, Hellboy. Yeah, phenomenal, phenomenal director, uh, producer, and I would say that the reason I mentioned him is that the Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark was really good. I don't know if you've had a chance to see that or not, but I loved it. It's something I
Yeah, I saw that in theaters, and I also read the book when I was little.
Yep. Yeah, oh god, the book and stuff. I would say, to be fair, I would say that Scary Stories the movie was honestly not as terrifying as the book. I think actually the book probably was more visceral and actually uh probably gory in some aspects than the actual movie was. But I will say that as far as an adaptation, it was very intriguing, and I thought they did a great job because adaptations like that, especially with mini stories and stuff like that, usually don't work that well. Um, but yeah, he is absolutely a phenomenal director and producer. And speaking of which, the one that I'm excited for coming out, if you all have not heard of it, Antlers. I am very excited about that one. I think 2021 is when it's coming out. I don't think it's coming out this year. Have you seen that, Sashi?
No, I haven't heard of it.
Okay. Let me see if I can find the trailer for it real quick. I would show it on stream, but I don't know DMCA freaking get taken down. Uh, but it looks really really good. Let's see here. Uh, is this? Yep. Okay, this is it.
So apparently, I don't know if you've watched the first one, The Witches, the 1990.
Yes.
adaptation. Yeah, so they're recreating it.
Really.
And
Oh.
he created the screenplay and he's producing it as well. So I'm so excited. That was one of my favorite movies as a kid.
Guillermo del Toro, I love you, but I don't know. I'm always hesitant at classic remakes like that. By the way, for those of you who don't know, The Witches was originally written by Roald Dahl, who did James and the Giant Peach. And also, do you know what the other thing he did was, Sashi? Major
No,
thing? Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Um, so yes, definitely would recommend checking out those books. I'm always a big fan of going back and reading, um, like literature and stuff like that. With that being said, the adaptions for the movies and stuff, especially I really like the James and the Giant Peach one because I'm a sucker for claymation. But they all turned out really good in my opinion. Um, but yeah, Antlers, definitely check that out if you haven't. And then the other one that I'm really excited about is that and let me look up the name of it real quick because hang on. It's by the guy that did the Vitch. If you've seen that one, it's on Netflix right now. It's like 2015. Um, I'm trying to think of what the actress's name was. Uh, Anya Taylor Joy Thompson was the character's name. Let me find out real quick. He is going to do. Wait, hang on. Oh God, I've completely. There you go, Robert. All right. Okay. Yes, The Northman. I'm very excited for. It is going to be a Viking revenge tale set in Iceland. uh,
That sounds so epic.
yeah. In a horror film, so I'm very excited for that. Uh, and I would definitely recommend checking out The Witch if you all have any interest in that and haven't had a chance to see it. It's really good. With that being said, don't feel bad because he does a lot of time period pieces as well with his horror films. So don't be bad or feel bad at all if you don't understand all the dialogue because you're not really meant to. Um, so with that being said, now we switch over to video games. What got you started to horror video games? I'm imagining that there was a transition there, but I'm definitely curious.
Transition, what do you mean by that?
From horror movies, and horror shows, because like that's what I grew up on, and it was just a natural progression to where once I saw that stuff, I was like, okay, well, what does a horror video game have to offer that a horror movie, horror TV show wouldn't?
Yeah. So what got me into it was Resident Evil, and I'm sure that's a lot of people's
Yep.
answers. It's either that, it's either Resident Evil or it's Silent Hill. It can't
hmm
be, there's always a battle between the fans. So I feel like it's either one of those. So I mean, Resident Evil like creeped me out as a kid, like so bad. And then like the most recent one was just as terrifying, if not more. So I love Resident Evil because it's so ahead of their times. Like
No, they really
they
are.
just
Yeah.
yeah.
Would you say the recent one? Are you talking about the remakes, or are you talking about Resident Evil 7?
7.
Okay.
7 was ridiculous.
I have not had a chance to play 7. It was very reminiscent of an homage to like the Outlast. Not that it's a copy, because let's be fair here. If there's anything copying anything, most games at this point have probably copied something from Resident Evil. Um, but I have not had a chance to play that one. The remakes, though, if anybody has not been able to play them, they are fantastic. They have done an amazing job with the remakes so far. Um, I'm a little nervous that they're supposedly remaking Code Veronica, which is my favorite. Um,
Oh, that'd be
I'm a little nervous if they remake 4 because I don't know why you would. But you know what? I'm willing to go with it. I'm willing to go with it if they want to remake 4. I'd be very curious to see how they did it. Um, but yeah, I so for me, I'm on the opposite side. I was a Silent Hill fan. That's what I started with. Um, I got a PlayStation later on down the road, and I remember picking up the demo for Silent Hill. It used to be in the PlayStation magazines, and it's a throwback. I literally watched my beard go gray when I mentioned that. Um, and Silent Hill, fell in love with it ever since. I absolutely love the series. The only one I didn't really like was Downpour. Even Homecoming had some value in it, but I wasn't a big fan of Downpour at all. With that being said, this is normally the time, since we're talking about Silent Hill, this is normally the time in any given situation where I give my daily fuck you to Konami for getting rid of Hideo Kojima and thus him taking Guillermo del Toro with them, and thus them ending the project of Silent Hills, which the PT playable trailer slash demo was so prolific that it's a demo, and to this day it's still influencing the horror genre.
Rip.
So later, Death, have a good one, buddy.
I loved PT. It's probably the scariest game I've ever played. Visage comes pretty close, but it'll never match up to PT.
So I'm about ready to make PT scarier for you. So there was a programmer, game developer, I don't know if you've heard this story, but I don't know who hasn't. Who hasn't. And I'll find the article too. I think it was on Kotaku. I can't remember exactly, but he was very curious because there was something odd about the lighting shaping around your character as well as the sounds. And so what he did is was Hackerman 2000. He got into the programming code and he found out that certain and what I mean by relations of light and shadows and all that stuff is that certain things could only be shaped if certain criteria were being met with your character. In other words, there's certain parts in the game where it looks like there's a shadow behind you that could only be obtained in a realistic setting if there actually was somebody behind you, like an actual figure. So he
Oh
got into the
no.
game. He got into the game code and he found out that Lisa, who's the ghost in PT, is actually with you the entire game. Um,
Oh god.
she is actually behind you the entire game, and whenever you move, she circles around with you. But that's how they're able to obtain certain lighting effects and audio cues. Is that the character's literally, sutured to your butt, so to speak, and she moves with you, only appearing, in certain trigger points in the game. And yeah, and finding and the thing about it is that might seem like in hindsight an obvious solution as a programmer, but it shows you the genius of Hideo Kojima and his programming team, and to do something like that, because it's one of those things where it's like an Easter egg that doesn't make the game goofier, it makes it creepier.
Mhm.
That you've got this character with you the entire time, lingering around behind you. But yeah, PT is phenomenal. I haven't played Visage that yet though. Was it good?
I I don't want to play it. At least not at night. I tried to play it on stream, honestly, but it was a little too much for me. It's yeah.
Okay, well now I'm definitely curious. I like I said, the only one I won't play on stream is Outlast because I've already played them.
Mhm.
So it doesn't really do any good. I do have a recommendation for you though. Um, Sashi, love Sam. I would, I will absolutely donate to the cause for you to play that because I think you can get it on Steam for like $4. It's made by Korean Linguistics Lab. They did it. There's a ton of reading in the game. You're basically reading a diary as events unfold, and they did it to
Mhm.
teach Korean students English. And
Oh, that's cool.
but it's a horror game, and it's really good. It's like not just in it. Here's the thing: the difference, like it's always cool to get like your jump scares and stuff like that, but at their core, the reason that I was always attracted to horror games is because at their foundation, they're really good stories. The good games are really, really good stories. Um, and you could write a whole, research paper on something like Silent Hill with that and trauma theory and what all the people are going through and their various experiences with their realistically what are their internal demons. Um, but yeah, I would definitely recommend Love Sam. It is really really good, and again, it's super cheap on Steam, worth every single penny. And I think it's like 2 or 3 hours. I think, but I would definitely recommend
Oh, it's
checking that
only
out.
$2.99.
Oh, PogChamp. I would definitely recommend that, Sashi. Um, so we have that. Obviously, we've talked a little bit about the horror games, stuff like that, and so now we kind of diverge from that into something that's the complete antithesis of that. We go from dark and moody and depressed and gore and all that to now we go to Kingdom Hearts. What attracted you to games like the Kingdom Hearts series?
Ooh, good question. So, when I first moved um, to North Carolina, which was probably like 13 years ago, I mean, I didn't know anybody, obviously. I only had my family, no friends, nobody to really talk to. And I had my PS3 and I had my Kingdom Hearts game. And I didn't really buy anything else for the PS3 because I love the game. But I had no cable either because I was dirt broke. So I would just play Kingdom Hearts. I think I played Kingdom Hearts 1 like 10 times in my living room just by myself all day long. And like, I never really went crazy because I loved the game. I loved Disney. And, ever since then, I just became obsessed with all the games because, in my opinion, I don't think there's a single one that has been terrible.
Yeah, I think that
Even
oh, sorry.
Kingdom Hearts 3, I mean, it's easier compared to all the other games, but the story is still amazing.
Yeah, I think that I think the reason that 3 is a little disorienting for people, and without giving away spoilers for those who haven't had a chance to play it, because it's still fairly. I mean, it's been out think for a year now or two, but it's not it's not been around for 10 years, so I still like to avoid spoilers. But I feel that when you are building up to such a crescendo, if you will, of a story that's been going on for that long, it's it's kind of the paradox of like The Last of Us 2, right? Um, if you've had a chance to play that, and again, without having spoilers, The Last of Us 1 was one of the best games of all time. Best game in the last
Hmm.
10 years, one of the best games of all time. How do you follow that up, right? It's kind of like, again, another example would be Lost, the TV show. All these theories going on for years and years, seasons and seasons, and then at the end, I will spoil because it's been out forever, like 20 years at this point, I think. But at the end of that, they're like, "It was all a dream," you know, and how do you resolve all that? And so I give Kingdom Hearts 3 benefit of the doubt because the resolution was always going to be uh, somewhat more simplistic than I guess people would have expected it to be. But I was happy with the game. I thought the games leading up to it were fantastic. Two's probably my favorite, I think. Um, but yeah, I loved every bit of the series. I thought it was fantastic. So obviously, I'm guessing Axel's probably your favorite character, but just out of curiosity, who's your favorite character?
Axel is my
Yeah,
favorite character.
okay, you know what?
I
Fair.
just love his story because I mean, he seems like such a bad guy because he's part of the organization, and then you find out that he actually does have a heart and what he's been through and who he's lost along the way, and then he ends up. Well, I don't want to ruin the rest of the story, but
Right, yeah. Um, for me, all right. I know this is probably gonna sound odd. Honestly, Mickey, just because he had his like,
really.
no, because he had his Yoda moment And it was like, you know what I'm talking about, where like Yoda comes
Oh
out
yeah,
walking with the
that's so
cane, and
cool.
he seems like he's feeble and all that, and then he just gets out the lightsaber and goes ham and just like beats the crap out of everybody. Yeah, yeah, like Mickey, I was like, how are they gonna turn Mickey Mouse of all characters into a badass? I was like, oh, okay, they did. Um, so I was completely happy with that. But I mean, I guess being, going to a character that was original for that series and all that stuff. Um, I probably would say Roxas simply because that opening of Kingdom Hearts 2 really like broke my heart. um,
Yeah.
so again, no spoilers, but yeah. So I would probably say Roxas, um, which is played by uh, oh god, I forgot his name. Um, it's Paul McCartney's son, Jesse McCartney. Yeah, yeah,
Oh, as far as the voice actor, yeah.
it's Jesse McCartney. Yeah, was Roxas. Um, but
Back when he used to be a singer.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And
He's. Never mind. Never. I just looked up, and I was like, I forgot that they age. And oh dear Lord, he's
yeah, he
33
was
now.
a tiny little teeny bopper back then.
Yeah. Do I have that wrong? Isn't he Paul McCartney's son? Or
I don't think he is, but he does have the last name McCartney.
no, he's not. Not any relation at all. Nope. Um. Nope. Nope. No relation at all. Never mind. I thought he was Paul McCartney's son.
He
Um.
kind of looks like Roxas for sure.
Yeah. And then I tell you the funny one, like I love him to death, and I've heard he's a great guy. But the funny one is just when you have those moments where you meet your you well I should say meet, but you see your voice actor and then pair him with the voice. Now the case you have your occasional like your Troy Baker, who's a extremely good looking dude and all this stuff, and yeah, Joel's an older character, but you kind of pair them together and you're like, oh okay. But then you have Haley Joel Osment at this point now, who's got like a beard like way past mine, and he's doing the voice of Sora, and you're just like, I don't know, I don't know. Uh, but yeah, I love that series too. I think one of the interesting things was all the characters that they created that were original to bring in along with the Disney characters. They didn't really ride on Disney's coattails, I don't think, to create the game. I think Disney was just kind of a little bit of an add-on to their story.
Yeah, and I was never a Final Fantasy fan until after, so
Okay.
it's kind of crazy the fandom that Kingdom Hearts actually collected and brought to that tribe of gaming.
So you say that you weren't beforehand. Have you gone back and played any of the Final Fantasy games then?
Yeah, I did play a few. I did. And I don't know, I still love Kingdom Hearts more than anything.
Oh, that's okay. I was just curious what Final
Yeah.
Fantasy games you'd played.
So like the original or
Uh,
the any of the remakes?
in any of the Final Fantasy games. I have not played any of the
So
remakes myself.
yeah, so I actually downloaded World of Final Fantasy, and that's pretty cute. And I like it because it reminds me more of Kingdom Hearts. Um, and I've been playing that more recently. I just got that on Steam.
Now, is that I'm trying to remember, is that did that originally come out for one of the Nintendo systems? I thought it did.
Yeah, I did for
Okay,
Switch.
okay. Um, have you played any of the like Final Fantasy 9, 10, 3, 6, any of that stuff yet?
I didn't.
Okay. I think you might really like Final Fantasy 10 if you get a chance to check it out. I think you might really like that one. Check it out. See, I don't want to give a bad recommendation, but check it out. See what you think of it. But I think I would definitely check into that if I were you, because I think you would like the story on that one.
I don't think you could ever give me a bad recommendation, Yanni.
Well, you say that until I give you a bad recommendation, and then you're like, never again. But as far as Love Sam, I will stake my entire reputation on that game. I love that game. I stand behind that game. That is a really, really good game, especially a horror game. And if you play it, I am 100% going to be there. I want to know. So you have to message me so I can actually set a calendar date. I will move an interview to be there
All right.
when the.
Well, I just got it, so I'm gonna have to stream it, and I'm gonna have to tell you what I'm streaming.
Oh, okay, Pog. All right, awesome. You all heard it, so you all definitely want to be there for it. I promise it's not just about the scares. It's a really, really good story too. Really, really intriguing. Uh, and I have to go back for just a second. One of my favorite horror game series of all time, Fatal Frame. I absolutely love that series. Um, and yeah, Fatal Frame 2. I remember there's some moment in Fatal Frame 2. Not to spoil it for people, but if you play the games, the whole idea is that you are, and I'm trying to remember because there's several of them, but I think it was in two. Yeah, your sister went into a haunted village. She was your twin sister. She went into this village, and you followed her in, and you find this camera that detects ghosts. And typically, what'll happen is you'll go into like a room or an area, and there'll be like an object moving. You'll use your camera, and it's not to say it's not scary, but it's kind of par for the course after a while. Except for the point where you get to this one room and you see an object move and you turn on your camera and there's nothing there. And then all of a sudden, hair starts to come down over the camera lens.
Oh God.
And I was like, I think this was way before like The Grudge. So I was like, oh, okay. I was like, gonna go ahead and turn this game off. And back when memory cards were a thing, I was like, I do not need a memory card for this because I'm not coming back to this shit. I'll show you what for. Show me game. I'll show you the off button. Bunch of assholes. Um, but so getting us back on track, I've gotten so off track with this interview, but I've been having like so much fun talking about all this stuff. I'm sorry. Um, with streaming, what you talked about doing more charity streams in the future, but aside from that, do you have any major like goals or plans you're working towards the future as far as stream and stuff like that?
Um, I mean, not really. Like, obviously, it'd be cool to become a Twitch partner,
Hmm.
but I mean, there's so much dedication and so much like. I mean, I just feel like my schedule is so crazy to, that be my main goal. But honestly, my goal right now is just to be able to stream 3 times a week like I was before. Um, and that's really it. I mean, I love the community that I have. I love, all the discords that I'm a part of. I love being part of your community. Um, so really, like, I'm pretty content with where I am, but I do have a point to become a Twitch partner.
Well, and I think that is the dream for a lot of us, but I would say that it is not only commendable, but I think that a lot of people don't understand. Number one, you're not going anywhere as a partner if you don't have that stream schedule. So whether it's 1 day a week, 2 days a week, 3 days a week, 4 days a week, 7 days a week, you have to have that schedule. So I think putting that as a step first is not only crucial, but I think it's very very intelligent and realistic because that's one of the biggest things that I have trouble with. Like I try to stream on certain days, and I pretty much have Friday, Saturday, Sunday locked down with these interviews and streaming. Um, but I need to have a dedicated schedule. For those of you who want your Twitch tips, one of the things that I've looked up on every single video that talks about it is, consistency being key. Now, here's the interesting thing. It's better to go like, if you go a random 24-hour stream and then you don't stream for a week because you're recovering, it'd be better to break that up into like, 4 6-hour streams than do one 24-hour stream if it means that you can keep doing the 4 6-hour streams every week. So yeah, consistency is definitely key. But Sashi, I want to tell you on a personal note. We've all had our moments where we had to take breaks. I know several people that have been partnered and they still had to take a break. There's somebody who I'm not going to name their name, but they've got their stream booming. It's going really really well, and they're going to take off like the next week. Just to kind of step away from everything, step away from social media and all that. I think in this day and age, I think that your health, both mental and physical, is priceless, and we have so much negativity in the world um, that if you got to take a break from stuff, even as much fun as I have having you in chat, as much as we love seeing you stream, taking a break is not only nothing to be ashamed of, but I would encourage it. I think that that is crucial to being a long-time streamer is knowing when to step away for a brief moment because you've all heard me say it, but guess what? I'm going to say it for the millionth time. I'll say it for the millionth and one next stream. But it's better to say, hey guys, I need this weekend off and take the weekend off than to push yourself through that weekend and the next thing you know, you need the next 2 weeks off or the next 6 months off. So definitely, definitely taking breaks is encouraged. Sashi, I cannot wait for you to get back into a schedule. I've always had a blast being in your streams. As far as being a part of this community, I did the Somni Helper thing a while back, but you, Lixie, Dragon, Death, so many other people who have been here for so long, you guys are a huge motivation um, for me because I want to provide a place for you all to, not just have fun, but know how loved and welcomed you all are. But I also want to provide a place where, it's a support group. I mean, I always disclosure we're not, you know, professional therapists or anything like that, and I never pretend to be or pretend to give advice or something like that. But even people who see therapists, I see one myself. You know, that is only a small part of your day, your week, your schedule. And to have places where you can come and know that this is a place where you can, you might not be streaming this week because things are stressed, but you know that this is a place where you're not going to be forgotten and a place where you can continue to feel that warmth and being welcomed and loved. I think that that is absolutely crucial. Um, so again, I can't wait for you to get started again, and I sincerely hope that you do. But I would encourage you to take as much time as you need, and I know that we'll all be here. So yeah, but it's definitely within your realm of possibility to be partnered. You've got an amazing personality. You're very kind, caring, a very genuine person, and I might have a personal bias here because that's what I want to see on Twitch. Um, but I definitely think that that is, there out of this wave of negativity that we've had in the world. I think one of the things is it kind of ebbs that the what it's going to leave behind is more positive people that people are going to be looking for. And I think that you could absolutely be one of those positive forces and voices in the community. So I definitely would encourage you to keep going with it.
Well, I appreciate that, Yanni, and I like watching people play and being part of that. But yeah, I mean, I would definitely like to get back into streaming. I know I'm doing that stream tomorrow, but of course, just being more regular about it and just, you know, being around all you guys because really at the end of the day, that's what's most important.
Well, yeah, and I think that I know I've talked with some people, and there's some people that have said to themselves, well, I got discouraged because my friend and I had been doing it for the same amount of time, and they were taking off, and I felt like I was doing something wrong. But I look at like there's people I know like Mushu who, if again, this is another story that you might have all heard me tell, but I tell it to you all so often because I don't want any of you all to have missed it. I was there when Mushu had 6 or 7 people in her chat, and now she has 6 or 700 at any given point. Last couple times she's gotten hosted, she's had over 1,500. Okay, so it is 100%, 100% in the realm of possibility to grow. And I see those examples, and um, that doesn't discourage me. that encourages me because I see it can be done. Because one thing to come to stream or to Twitch and start streaming to see all these people on the front page that have 40, 80,000 viewers and think it's not obtainable. It's another thing to have seen people and been in their stream when they had 6 or 7, and then a year or two later they have 6 or 700, right? So I think that that is definitely, definitely something to look forward to. Um, and uh, Dragons had it with Nightbot. Um, and Sasha, whenever you're ready to get a schedule going, that is completely at your discretion. But I want you to know that you've got my full support 110% of the way, and you've got the full support of this community and so many other communities. I know, like Lixie, the Family Plays, um, you know, Logic, um, Leo Lighthammer. I know that you um, have so many people that definitely are there to support you along the way. So definitely don't have to worry about that side of things.
Yeah, and I appreciate all of them. I think just being able to meet everybody that I have met through different streams and just watching everybody, through raids and meeting more people as I go along. I think that's really like what I care about most, and it's awesome. It's like Twitch is a crazy thing, just being able to meet so many people around the world, even just that have the same interests as you, and they have the same quality and passions, and you know the same views that you do, and I think it's such a crazy thing to be a part of.
Absolutely. And Dragon definitely wanted you to know that he supports you as well. So um, I
I
feel
love him. He's awesome.
oh yeah, absolutely. And hey, welcome back, Dr. Slayer. How are you doing, buddy? So with that being said, I think that we're gonna wrap things up here. But as always, Sashi, was there anything that you wanted to say going out?
Anybody that's thinking of streaming and wants to do it, but they're too afraid, or anybody that is streaming and maybe you don't have the courage to do it, just give yourself a try and just do it because you'll never know who you can meet out there as far as the next best friend or the communities that you can be a part of. So I'd say it's definitely worth being able to get over, and not only those things, but mentally for yourself. One of the best qualities you can do for yourself.
And I have absolutely nothing to add because I think that that is perfect. I agree with every single word of that. Um, and so with that being said, um, wait, real quick, what time did you have planned to stream tomorrow?
Tomorrow I'm gonna start early because I want to try to do a 6-hour stream. So I'm gonna start around 2 o'clock
Okay,
Eastern time.
okay, I'll put that in chat. And as always, as we're heading out, um, if the person that we are interviewing is not going to be streaming, I'm going to let you pick the person that we raid.
Me?
Hmm.
Oh, cool. Let's see. What is everybody in the mood for? I say let's raid Lixie.
Sounds like a plan. All right, everybody, gonna send you over to Lixie's way. I feel like a few of you all know her. Everybody knows her. She is
Everybody.
she is awesome. And Lixie will actually be doing an interview in the next coming weeks as well. So Etain, I see you in chat. Hey, buddy. So for those of you who again who might not have had a chance to catch this, the entirety of the interview, it will be up for as long as Twitch allows it to be up. And yeah, this has been again an absolute wonderful experience. Sashi, you were wonderful to have on. Um, and I think that, as always, the perspective that somebody can bring on is unique, and more importantly, I think even though it might be unique, it is also in a lot of ways relatable. And I think, a lot of us here, we get nervous about going live and doing different things and all that stuff. And I think that you have put a wonderful perspective on things. So, Dr. Slayer ends with applause. So,
Well, thank you, Yoni. I love that you're doing this and you're putting this out there because I feel like no matter what YouTube videos anybody views about streaming or anything, I think this is definitely a lot more humblesome and better to watch as far as getting the reality of it and meeting new people. So I love that you're doing this.
and with that being said, and I appreciate it. And with that being said, we're going to have another interview tomorrow. We are going to be interviewing, let me bring it up, Sir Healy from the Mushu clan. And that'll be a very, very interesting interview because I have not actually had a chance. I've been to his stream a couple times, but I haven't had a chance to really sit down with Sir Healy before. So that'll be a bunch of new information for me because I will not have been, or a lot of it I will not have heard before. So for everybody here, love you all so much. As always, say hi to Lixie. If you have not had the pleasure of meeting her, she's a phenomenal person. Everybody here loves her, and there's for very good reason. Um, and please, please, oh, I forgot to give Nightbot a so I'll do that later. Um, and please, 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 drop some follows. Say hi in chat. She'll love seeing you all. So bye, everybody. See you tomorrow for Sir Healy's interview. Love you all. All right, let me just end.